Hi, I trust that you're well. Welcome to this beginner series. Today I would like us to learn about abbreviations. The abbreviations that are used especially when taking off by the quantity surveyors or an estimator or whichever way or whichever name that you'd like to refer the person who does the measurements and the construction taking off to. Before we indulge into today's session, which is forming part of the beginner series, I would urge you that if you haven't made a subscription, please do so. So straight away into our coverage for today, I'd like us to see those abbreviations that if you haven't known how they are applied and also what they mean, then you will definitely be not able to follow up exactly or so well what is going on or what is being done. That is why this session is quite crucial before we start taking off, which is now going to start in our immediate next session. It's important that we learn the abbreviations which are applicable in taking off. In case you're wondering why you would apply these particular abbreviations, then realize that taking off, being that it's not the final output, it's basically used, you can refer to it as a rough work that is heading you towards preparation of the bills of quantities. It's not very common that you will be writing all the descriptions into detail as you would do when referring to or when making the bills of quantities. And for that matter, you'll realize that you'll be having those particular abbreviations so that you make your work easier, so that you're able to cover much in terms of taking off, as opposed to having the full descriptions. And of course, now when you'll be transferring the information from the taking off dimension paper to the bills of quantities, of course at that stage what you'll be having will be the descriptions will be in full. And for that reason, let's see what we got here. So here we are. Yeah, there are those abbreviations that you will be meeting them or you will be coming across them as we'll be doing our taking off session as time goes by. So for instance, you have A.B, that is described as before, then as before described, then aggregate. So the importance so that we have this session to be more beneficial, it's important that as we give our as we give our abbreviations, it's important that we are able to see how they are applied in a real taking off process. So this one, we've said it will signify what we call as before. Okay, as before. So in this case, it's applicable especially when you've done an item, or you've done your calculation of an item, and you realize that now for the subsequent item they are of similar calculations. So in that case, you will just be accurate, or it's acceptable that you refer to that particular working that you've done in the previous section. So if you say like that, then you have to mention the page or where that particular working is found, so that whoever is following up on your taking off is able to find exactly where that particular working was done. So just mention applicable when a similar item has been done in the same scope. Okay, so when you're doing a particular description or a particular working, then it's important that you refer to one that you have done, so that you save your time, and of course the way it's going to appear is already taken into place. So we have as before, then you can also say as before described. Okay, or you can also use the symbol, use the word ditto. So you will come across such a word as well in the process while we'll be doing our taking off. So when you see the word ditto, then that will also mean as described before. Okay, ditto also means as described before. So in this case, when you refer to an item as ditto, then for instance, an example in case is this. You've talked about, for instance, you have your dimensions. Just an example of, let me say, a concrete pad footing. So you have 1.2, you also have another 1.2, and you have, for instance, 0.40. So once you have these, of course, you'll have your calculations in terms of the volume that is there. That is, let's just calculate that. 1.2 times 1.2 times 1.2 times 0.4. So that comes to around 0.58. Okay, 0.58. So once you have your 0.58, of course you will underline, as we had learned in our previous session. You do that. So once you have that, you've done what you call the squaring. Then you give your description: vibrated reinforced concrete class 25, okay, in pad foundation footing. Well, so you have that. You've already given you've given your description. You've also done your quantities as appropriate. Okay, then you realize that the next item, so this is footing. This is a pad footing, for instance. Okay, you've done your underline, you've specified that. Then the next item is let me say strip footing. Okay, strip footing. So in your strip footing, you realize that it should be the same description. So you have a center line of let me say 35.60 meters, then times the width, for instance, is 0.6, and then the depth is for instance 0.2. Then you do your description, 35.6 times 0.6 times 0.2. Okay, so of course this one has to be underlined as we had agreed. Then you have 4.27. okay, of course you underline the quantity that you've got, just the way we discussed in the previous session. So after this, you realize that now the same description should be adopted for the strip footing in terms of the specification of the concrete that you are to use for this particular strip footing. But then you don't have to repeat every word for the previous description. Instead, you use ditto, comma, in strip footing. Okay, so these are terms that they ease your work, they make your work easier, and they also allow you to cover a bigger part of taking off, instead of wasting time in doing every description in those areas that you can apply abbreviations. So let's see the next abbreviation that we can talk about. Of course, we just want to pick on those common abbreviations. Another one is average. So let's pick on average and see how that can also be used. So another so we have this average, okay, which in full is the average. average. So in this case, you can adopt it or use it in a manner that, for instance, when you are describing stripping of topsoil, okay, so in that case you can adopt that particular abbreviation to help you cover your work very fast. For instance, you can describe remove topsoil average. Instead of the full average, you just use a V and then you put a full stop, so that you adopt that kind of abbreviation in that particular manner. Then baluster building. Okay, yeah, of course the other ones you can see and read. Let's just pick on those common ones that you will find in most cases. Okay, so we have just a minute. So we have the C and an L, which you can read as a center line. So that's also an abbreviation that I can't actually put it here because of the challenge in writing it, but you can adopt that CL. Okay, you can write that center line in that particular abbreviation. Okay, so that is it's basically a C and an L. So if you see that while you are reviewing or given a piece of work that has been done for quantity surveying, then you will know that that means center line. Then C.L.M, cement, lime, mortar. Then C.M is cement, mortar. Okay, so that is also another common abbreviation. C.M, that is cement, mortar. So if you see that, then you should be in a position to understand what that means. Then let's see, another one is the col, COL, then you put a dot, that's just a column. Of course, concrete, CONC. Then construction, then you have coping, cover. C/S, cement/sand. Okay, that is also one that you will come across. Okay, that in full is cement/sand. So in this case, you can adopt such a description, or you can have it, for instance, natural. Okay, let me just put up a full description. Okay, i.e. natural stone walling. For instance, when you're describing wall, natural stone walling in cement/sand mix 1 to 3. Okay, so if you've seen the C/S, you just know that it's an abbreviation for cement and sand. Okay, then another bit is cement/sand. We've talked about that. Clear sheet glass and the cement coat, then cubic. Then another one is DDT. The smaller DDT is standing for deduct. Okay, the DDT, then you put that stands for deduct. Okay, for instance, when you are deducting, when you are making adjustments for, let me say, earthworks in a particular way, or one that you've taken it off, or for instance, you want the net square meter of the walling. So you can talk about the description of the wall plus the quantity, and then you deduct those openings. So those are examples in which you can always use the abbreviation DDT. Okay, then let's see what you have next. You've seen the DDT. Then dia is also a common one. Diameter. For instance, you are talking about let me say reinforced steel. So you can talk about dia, the DIA. So that stands for diameter. Okay, ditto as before, we've just talked about that. DPC is dam proof course. Okay, so dia, dia stands for diameter, and then DPC stands for damp proof course. So damp proof course, as the name suggests, is now the just management of the rising damp from the ground to up the wall. Okay, so in that case you have that damp proof course. So when you are describing the same, then it's normally abbreviated as DPC. So if you're wondering what that normally stands for, then you have your answer. Then E dot O is now extra over, and we can also see where that is applicable. Okay, then we have E dot O. So this is extra over. Okay, so we have talked about extra over in one of our previous sessions, and I explained well that extra over implies that these are items that in one case, for instance, when you are describing the ceiling, so you describe the ceiling, the flat area, but then there are those designs, for example the bulkhead, which will also be measured over or as an additional item on top of what you've covered for the flat surface. So in that case, then you have it an extra over item. So if you have it, you can always express it in abbreviations as E dot O. Then let's see what we have next. Excavation, excavated, excavating, and then external. Okay, then you have foundation, FDN. So when you see that being used, then you know that it's talking about foundation. Okay, then let's see another one that is also applicable. Okay, we've talked about this bit. We've talked about this bit here. So yeah, we move to the next page. Provide, provisional, then P and S, plugged and screwed. Okay, we have paint, we have pointing, purpose, quadrant, quality, and then radius. Another common one is RWGs, rainwater goods. Okay, that's also another common one that you will find in your, as we'll be covering this. So that is that means rainwater goods. Okay, so these are rainwater goods. What do they stand for? So rainwater goods generally are the water or harvesting water equipment or items, for that matter. Things to do with the gutter, things to do with the downpipes, the shoes, the swanek, and so on. All these items shouldn't worry you at this moment, because we are going to cover them in our subsequent coverages in terms of measurements and taking off. So that is noted. Then we have others, including the selected, okay, skirting, square. Just see those common ones, and then the ones we cover today: treated, treatment, transform. Okay, then we have undercoat, the U/C. Okay, just see all that are available. All right, then let's see if there is any that we need to cover. All right, so the next one that we also need to talk about, because it's also going to be applicable, is now when you are now doing the bills of quantities, there are these symbols. For example, cm, what does it stand for in terms of the unit? Cubic meter. Okay, then sm, that stands for square meter. Okay, then we have kg, that is standing for kilogram. Okay, then let's see what we have also as PC and the PS. Okay, PC and the PS. So one is prime cost. Okay, prime cost, of course, prime cost sum, which basically mean those are sums which are always given to items to be undertaken by the specialists. For instance, the electrical, the mechanical, and so on. So those are the prime cost. The abbreviation is PC. And then we have PS standing for, so just PS standing for provisional sum. Of course, the provisional sums simply stand for sums which are allocated to those items which at the time when you are preparing the bills of quantities as a quantity surveyor, you are not able to completely clearly get the specifications for that item. So you will provide sums for it as provisional sums, abbreviated as PS. Okay, then M stands for linear meter. This one you will also come to appreciate when now you have those given abbreviations in your bills of quantities. So let's see whatever is remaining: the cm, square meters, kilogram, PC and the PS, meters. Okay, let's see. Then we have number, always given as NO. So this one is standing for number. Yeah, so of course item will just be represented by an item as it is. Okay, yeah, for those ones that are always measured as items. Then yeah, I believe that is it for the abbreviations. So of course these items, they are quite a number, the ones that you can cover, but then they are available in this particular book. So whenever that you need them more into detail, then you can always get my contact from the description and get your copy of this book that has all these symbols, all the formulae that you'll need in terms of yeah. Then you also have units metric conversion table. Okay, 1 inch is 25 millimeters, 1 feet 300 millimeters. All these are provided here, and they are quite crucial. If you have them, then it's always easier for you to make conversions here and there. Then let's see what next here. Yes, so that should bring us to the end of our coverage, where we are doing the abbreviations that are most common abbreviations in taking off and descriptions as well. So in this case, you hear that now when we will be indulging into the takeoff, it will be easier for us to communicate, because at instances I'll be using these abbreviations, which not all have been listed here, but almost all are existing in the other soft copy book. So you should be in a good position to understand what I'm referring to when I've used those abbreviations in our taking off and descriptions. Yes, so it's just a matter of making it easier, and also being in a position that you as my listener and viewer, you are able to understand what I'm referring to, or what I'm expressing at any particular time, because that is the goal of having this channel, so that you learn it easier and better, more than you would learn it anywhere in any other channel. So that brings us to the end of our session today, and as I would always say, that for this channel to benefit you, then you need to keep following the videos, because they are building on each other. You know that when we started, it was a program, how we'll be moving on. From the program, then we give now the rules, the standard methods of measurements, which are also, if you haven't watched them, they are in the previous videos. So if you haven't watched them, you can look for them and watch them. So once you've watched those ones, you have the rules. So from the rules, we've now learned also the taking off, the dimension paper, and now we are learning the descriptions, which are going to be adopted. So if you haven't watched the other ones, so that you have the better background please do so, because it's quite crucial and it's going to be very beneficial. So I want to appreciate you for watching this video, and I'd urge you that please make a subscription to it so that you keep getting this information as they come. Thank you very much, and have a great time till we meet again in our next session that is now going to start on taking off straight away. Thank you very much. Have a good time. Bye bye.